Good morning and welcome to DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. Obviously, it's morning and it's a different whole background for John. That's because John's doing something new for the month of October, and we will be back at the normal 5 p.m. Eastern time starting in about 3 weeks or so. But for now, we're here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern time, 6 a.m. bright and early on the Pacific Coast. Thanks for those of you who are following us over here. We are live right now, unless you're watching us later, in which case we're not. Let's please like, follow, and share the show. Let's get to what we're going to be talking about today. Yesterday, War Secretary Pete Hegseth basically reamed the generals and admirals of the U.S. military. We'll talk about that. Trump says that he wants to use U.S. cities as training grounds for American troops. And he also says blowing up those Venezuelan boats is a good idea. And he has all sorts of other violent, belligerent stuff to talk about. A U.S. district judge reamed Trump over mass deportations directed at academics. We'll get into that. In Paris, a strange story. The South African ambassador to France jumped out the 22nd floor of the Hyatt Regency there. We'll find out what's going on there. And both Afghanistan and the United States have something in common today. They're both shut down. In both, basically, it's at their own behest. The United States government is shut down because Democrats and Republicans can't agree on a continuing resolution. And the Taliban have decided that they just don't think that the country is doing well with the internet right now. So everything is shut down. So what should we talk about first, John?
Those are all great issues and important issues, but I think we should talk about the shutdown, at least briefly.
Okay.
So this is the first shutdown since 2019. It's the fourth shutdown of Donald Trump's 5 years as president. The Democrats are taking a very big risk here, right? Because every time there's a shutdown, it's been instigated by the Republicans, and the Republicans take it on the chin because people don't like having their benefit checks delayed, their national parks closed, their training classes canceled. I mean, it really does shut down, except for, necessary services like TSA at airports, for example. So for the Democrats to force this shutdown, this is a very big risk they're taking.
It is. I think the Democrats were stuck between a rock and a hard place, though, and they basically chose the path of somewhat least resistance. I mean, everything you said, John, is 100% true. But they also are facing a major issue with these Medicaid and Affordable Care Act cuts. So, John, I don't know about you, but I have health care through the ACA. And I just got my notice about 2 weeks ago. I got a letter in the mail from New York State. It's called New York State of Health. Terrible name. And they said, it's time to renew for next year. And if you don't renew by October 15th, you have no health insurance starting January 1st. Well, tens of millions of Americans are now in that situation. The continuing resolution that was on the table would have continued to fund the government at present levels through into November. But by then, you've blown past the deadline, and the ACA subsidies, which are basically the part that allows sort of not the most desperately poor, but sort of working class people who have a low income to be able to afford health insurance through Obamacare. That money all went away under the Big Beautiful Bill Act, right? So Democrats are trying to get it back. They're trying to leverage to get it back. And that's hard to see how they pull off logistically, just because even if the Republicans were to agree to it, it takes time to craft the compromise and get it voted through. But even so, I think if Democrats were perceived as letting these cuts go through and destroying their biggest legislative achievement over the last 30 years, the ACA, their base, what's left of it, would be totally evaporate. So I don't think they have any choice. I mean, they're already in trouble, but they can't let this go.
I agree. And I'm going to blow our horn here, Ted. We said weeks ago when this thing began approaching that it was different this time,
Yeah.
right? The two sides were more bitter this time. They were dug in more solidly, and that we believed this was going to happen. Usually it doesn't happen. Usually they come to some last minute agreement to extend it for 60 days or 30 days or 90 days or whatever it is. And we both predicted that wasn't going to happen. It hasn't, and it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's like in compromise, right? Like the most, the most important way to get to a compromise is if you and I are arguing, it's for me to understand, like, not what you want, but what you have to have and what you need. And I don't think, like, the Republicans right now understand Democrats. They really can't, like, just go along this time and kick this can down the road. They have to get these Medicaid cuts back. Right. And probably they never could have lived with them in the first place. I don't think Republicans get that. And they can rake the Democrats over the coals as much as they want, but I don't think it's going to make any difference. I think the Democrats well understand the Republican situation. The Republicans are just, running roughshod and just doing whatever the hell they want. They're steamrolling the Democrats.
Well, let's go into this other issue. I'm sure that you watched Pete Hegseth's performance at Quantico yesterday. I did. I watched it on the plane on the way to Mexico. They had live TV on the plane, and it seemed like he seemed like he was unhinged.
Yeah.
In this thing, I had to choose that word carefully. He seemed unhinged. It's one thing if you are transphobic, let's say, or you just are so politically conservative that you just can't abide women in the military. But to announce that you're changing the rules of the game and saying, if you don't like it, then you can get the hell out. Oh, and by the way, no more beards.
Right.
I mean, that's really what it came down to.
And don't forget the fat shaming, right?
And the
I've seen fat people in the Pentagon. It's like, okay, I'll grant that Secretary Hegseth is ripped.
Yes.
But while we're talking about that, the reason I know he's ripped is because I saw all of his white nationalist tattoos that are on his ripped chest. And I mean, if we're going to talk about, rolling old school, I think he himself would not qualify to be in the military. I mean, they would never have allowed people in with those tattoos 40 years ago.
Especially when at least one of the tattoos you can justifiably say is a white supremacist tattoo.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
not cool.
No, not cool at all. I mean, it's like one thing. I mean, I know white supremacy has been an issue in the military, particularly in the Army, for a long time. But like, still, I mean, wearing it literally on your sleeve to that extent it's a little over the top. Yeah, I thought it was unhinged. I mean, a lot of Democrats are pointing to the wasteful spending. I don't think that's going to land because the Pentagon, everyone thinks the Pentagon wastes money anyway. So it's kind of like, so what? It's already baked into the cake. But I think the whole, and I think the idea, it's also not really, I think, that outlandish to think that sometimes all the top ranking officials of the military should get together and talk and have a meeting. I mean, this happens at all sorts of other organizations. To me, this is like a lot of Trump stuff where it's like, this could be like on its face a good idea, but the execution sucks.
Yes. And I wanted to complain too about the Washington Post's coverage of this thing. The Washington Post, almost overnight, has become a right-wing rag.
True.
The editorial page is unreadable. And on the editorial page, they were saying, this is so great. This is the greatest thing that has happened in decades, that Pete Hegseth, of all people, is going to save the U.S. military from its 1990 era self, which was a dark era. It's like, what world were you living in where 1990 was a dark era? That's when we attacked Iraq.
That's the biggest. That is the biggest military victory of my lifetime.
Yes.
I'm 62, and like that. I mean, yeah, we kicked ass and took names. We got the job done. Very few casualties. I think more guys like literally died in car accidents, like driving forklifts off the dock than died in combat. And at least on our side, won't get into the highway of death. And and we didn't have mission creep. We didn't go into Iraq. We didn't try to overthrow Saddam.
No.
So
we did what we said we were going to do, and we got out.
Yeah, 1990 is like I think the halcyon days of the U.S. military.
I couldn't agree more.
Very strange. It's sort of declaring this problem. It's like the U.S. It's so hilarious too. It's almost like it's bizarro world. So Hegseth and Trump think that the U.S. military are a bunch of like soft, woke, left-wing pacifists. Is that basically what we're being told? And
How ridiculous is that?
It's insane on its face. It's just sort of like, it's like, don't believe your lying eyes. It reminds me of like when the troops were sent into Washington, into neighborhoods that were perfectly safe. And, the biggest danger was that to the U.S. troops was being, bombarded by too many selfies.
Yeah. Exactly right.
We have a question from some viewers here. Matthew Presavage. Hey, what do we think with some overwhelming majority that Congress? Why do we think that Congress won't get rid of the filibuster for government funding in addition to budget reconciliation? That's a good question.
That's a good question. Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now, Republicans are probably really chomping at the bit to do that. But maybe, do you think there's possibly cool heads? I'm laughing at this idea, but there's cooler heads behind the scenes who are saying we won't always be in control of Congress, and there might be a time when we need to block the Democrats.
See, this is how completely and totally fucked up Washington is. I remember during the Clinton administration, Ted, there was this announcement on the news, like, oh my God, Congress actually passed the budget before the deadline, and that it was the first time it had happened since the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, the system that we have is that it's supposed to happen every single year. That's your job. Your job is to come up with a budget, get it through reconciliation, get it to the president's desk, so that we can have a smoothly running government. That's what the Constitution tells you to do. It's your job.
Yeah, it's literally. I mean, I thought I heard a Republican congressman being, talking about this subject, and he brought up a really good point, which is this is the American people have already paid for these goods and services through their taxes, and they're being denied access to their goods and services by the incompetence of the U.S. Congress. And I mean, no other country does this, right? No other country has 3-month budgets. No other country has I mean, I think there's one other country or two maybe that have a debt ceiling type thing, but it's automatic instead of like one of the things that you have to vote on. What's the point of a debt ceiling? You already voted on what the debt's going to be when you voted on the budget. That's that's baked in. It's like it's a ridiculous idea. Like, oh, it's a secondary safeguard. And in case the Congress got a little wild one night, they drank too much and then they spent too much money the night before, and they can have a take back in the morning when they wake up and sober up.
Yeah, and we have a question from Houdini that's a good one. What's the longest government shutdown in history?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm looking at it. Believe it or not, it was the most recent one.
Oh, really?
It went from December 22nd, 2018 to January 25th, 2019. So it was a month and 3 days.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
a pretty
gotta tell
long time.
You, Ted, I've been in Washington since 1982. This one just feels different. This one feels angrier, harsher, and like neither side really wants to do anything that would, number one, get this thing over with and help the American people, or number two, appear weak to the other side. So it's a pissing match.
It is.
And I think we're in for a long one this time. I really do.
I think we'll beat the record. I think there's also less to I don't think these land as hard on the American people when it's not the summer national park season. When it's in the summer and people have to tell their kids like, oh, we can't go to our family vacation.
Yeah.
That's rougher.
Yes.
Also, end of the year, the last one that you described in December, that's rough because it's the end of the year. People have to pay their taxes. They're not getting paid. They're being furloughed. So there's pressure there from the federal employees. John, I mean, how is it legal to force like air traffic controllers to go work without pay until they get paid later? I mean, is that in their contract? Or, I mean, I thought Abe Lincoln made slavery illegal.
Right. So let's parse that a little bit. So what normally happens is most government employees are declared to be non-essential. If you are non-essential, you don't have to go to work. You don't get paid while the shutdown is taking place. But traditionally, once the shutdown's over, you are given back pay. The problem there is, though, that most people, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not, live paycheck to paycheck. You're looking at two of them right here. So, breaking news. A New York City high-rise apartment building collapsed. Okay.
Really?
We'll talk about that in a minute.
All right.
The workers who are declared to be essential do go to work every day and still don't get paid until this is all over, and then you get back pay. But what may make this one different is that Donald Trump has said that rather than furlough federal workers, he wants to fire them en masse, thousands at a time. And he's instructed the cabinet to look at firings instead of layoffs this week to try to drastically shrink the size of government. Now, I want to add a couple of things. At some place like the CIA or the State Department, the Defense Department, literally everybody is essential. So nobody's going to lose their jobs. They're not going to get paid until this is over, but they're not going to lose their jobs.
But they know it's coming later.
And they know it's coming later, exactly. There was a government shutdown when I was in prison, and the prison guards didn't get paid. But where most of us in Washington are GS, 13, 14, 15, or senior executive service, senior intelligence service, maybe we've got a little bit of savings. Prison guards are GS 3, 4. The big shots are 5.
What's the highest, 20?
15.
Oh, 15, okay.
Mm-hmm. And these guys struggle to put food on their table when they're getting paid. So now there's
rough.
not going to be any pay. This is going to be bad. And what they end up doing is just calling in sick every day. They have a blue out, they call it. And then they'll go get a job at Walmart. Just to
or they'll get exploited by those fucking payday loans.
Oh, we should do a whole episode just on
those
that.
things. They should be usurious. I mean, that, by the way, you got criticized in the chat for saying there were good things about Sharia law, but that is a good thing about Sharia law. That would never be legal.
Nope, no usurious interest.
So a couple of we've been asked to predict how long this is going to last. I'll bite. I say we're going past the election.
Are you kidding me?
This coming one. Sorry, I'm a New Yorker, so to me, this is an important election.
Yeah, right, of course. You know what? We're October 1st today. That's a bold prediction. I'm going to say they end it just before the election, just because both sides are just going to get pounded over this and over their inability to work together.
All right, we'll see what happens. We're being asked by Luke, is the budget basically just a big fat wish list for lobbyists to squeeze as much money as they can?
Yes, it is.
Much of it, not all of it.
Not all of it, but yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, it's not like there's a lot of lobbyists for the arts, or whatever. There's some.
Some, not many.
Starlion has a message for you. Okay. Don't freak out. Let you know that in the 80s, the Mexican government, or some federales, held my dad for ransom for 3 days because of travel on his passport. Be careful. But that's a long time.
Thank you. I will say, got out of the airport, which is a lovely airport, by the way, in Los Cabos,
Mhm.
and we weren't a mile from the airport when the road just ended, and then the next 25 miles was dirt, and not just dirt, but was some of the roughest road that I've ever seen. And I even said to the driver, the roads in Afghanistan are better than this. And he said, "Yeah, well, we wanted it so that people just don't come here." And then when I got here, we had dinner with the owners of it's it's a resort on the beach that's closed for renovation, where we're shooting the movie. And she said that, well, one of the actors asked if there was a problem with the cartels here, and the owner and her husband looked at each other and said, "Well, there was." What ended up happening is that it was a dispute between two cartels, and then one day it wasn't. And she said what everybody agreed, finally happened was the government likely mediated an agreement between two cartels saying you could have this part of Baja and you could have that part of Baja and leave the civilians alone. So she said, we haven't had any problem with the cartels for 4 years now. I said, well, knock on wood, I'm hoping for the best.
John, this is a serious story breaking in New York that you mentioned earlier. So it looks like most likely a gas explosion was
Oh,
responsible for the entire side of a 20-story building. This is in the Mott Haven section of the Bronx, just south of the South Bronx. If you're familiar with New York City, this is sort of that tangle of bridges that connect the Bronx to Queens to Manhattan.
yeah.
Where the Triborough Bridge, now the RFK Bridge is. This is clearly a New York City Housing Authority housing project based on the architecture that we're seeing in the video. And it looks like the building partly collapsed. It's really bad. I mean, easily 20 to 40 units are gone
Oh my
completely.
God.
The entire corner of the building.
Was this already constructed? I mean,
This
those
is
buildings
this is
are.
an occupied. This is a
Oh
building
no.
full of people. I don't know what time. This looks like it happened around 8:10 in the morning at the Mitchell houses. This is on Alexander Avenue near East 135th Street in Mott Haven section of the Bronx. This is right in the middle of a densely populated area. If you fly into LaGuardia, you see these buildings when you bank into the airport. You see them. You come right over them. And I got to say, I mean, gas leaks are always an issue everywhere. When I was a kid, one of the houses up the street like blew up completely. No one was home. All that was left was the foundation. Nothing was left. And even if you remember the French Brothers documentary of the World Trade Center disaster, the first truck to respond, right, where they were filming with this fire company.
Yeah,
they were
that's right.
checking on a false report of gas leaks, and they just mentioned casually, this is mostly what the FDNY spends their time doing, is responding to possible gas leaks. So it's always an issue, and it's really easy to have happen. I mean, the other day, I leaned my bike up against my stove. I was moving some stuff around, and I smelled the gas, and I was like, oh, I accidentally, hit the thing. Gas is odorless, so they have to add a smell to it to make this. So natural gas is it's being phased out of new construction. It's not, being allowed in new construction at all due to the health issues because of the breathing thing, the federal government under Biden. But, this is something we're going to watch. But there's no way that a lot of people didn't die. This is it's 8 a.m. It's the house, it's the projects. A lot of people there they wouldn't have, even if they had a regular job, they probably wouldn't have left the house yet. So hopefully kids were already on their way to school by this point, I would think. So hopefully families were out of the house, kids were out of the house, but there's going to be a substantial death toll here.
Oh my God, this is a disaster. When I lived in New York, my wife and I lived in New York 2002 to 2003. We went out to dinner one night. We lived at 34th between 2nd and 3rd, so right in
Mm-hmm.
the heart of everything. And we went out to dinner one night and came back a couple of hours later, and there was a six-story walk up next to us. We lived in a nice big building, and there was police tape all around the walk up. They had ambulances and fire department, whatever. It was a gas leak, like you just said, and 6 people died. 6 people died in this gas leak. This kind of thing, I hate to say, it happens all the time in New York. Although
It
this
does.
one looks like it's bigger and worse.
Yeah, there was a big gas leak explosion actually next to your old neighborhood. I don't know if this is the same incident, but it was like on 2nd Avenue and like 32nd or something. And it was like maybe about 10 years ago, 15 years ago. But I remember it took weeks to recover. And it turned out it was just like some workmen had fucked up and hadn't like closed the line properly or something. So look, the only thing we can hope here is that someone smelled it. They evacuated the building before it happened.
Yes.
If so, then maybe there won't be any injuries, but otherwise, so if it caught people by surprise, that would be bad, because this is the entire corner is gone. And needless to say, if you're in New York, don't go anywhere near the South Bronx or to the Triborough Bridge or anything like that.
Wow. What a shame.
Yeah, emergency equipment needs to get there. It sucks. Let's see. Oh, we have a request for Mark Frost. Starland is calling it a bit early. Is this America's Grenfell Tower?
Ooh.
I'm not familiar. What's Grenfell Tower?
Oh, Grenfell Tower was just a disastrous event in London. It was low-income housing, and it blew up.
The fire.
Yeah. Sorry, it's getting kind of sunny here at the beach, so I'm...
Don't worry, it's like not a... No, I don't think this is going to be as big as that, in terms of casualties. That was a complete... The whole building went up in Grenfell Tower.
Yeah.
This is the corner, crazy. And it was an explosion. I mean, the worst case here would be like maybe 40 people, but I doubt it. I don't think it's going to be that high. I think probably they will have evacuated some people because the smell had to be intense.
Okay, I was just going to ask you that. Everything I'm seeing now, everybody else is reporting no injuries.
Yet, there's going to be some. There's got to be some. I mean,
it's got to be.
Yeah, it's just not possible. I mean, not to mention all those. I mean, seriously, if nothing else, the entire side of the building collapsed into the street. So you're telling me nobody was there? I mean, walking around? I mean,
come on. That doesn't make sense.
Okay, Robbie, please go ahead and put up that ad, and I will go ahead and read it. Okay, so should we talk about Afghanistan? This is an interesting story, right? So when the Taliban, when I was when I went to Afghanistan in 2000 and in 2001, let's go ahead and read this ad. Okay. Hey, football fanatics, are you ready for some primetime NFL action? Tune into Westwood One for all the gridiron glory you crave, from jaw-dropping touchdowns to game-changing plays. Don't miss a moment of the excitement. Catch every snap, every tackle, and every victory on Westwood One. You can listen to the NFL on the NFL app, on the Westwood One Sports app, on westwoodonesports.com via Westwood One station streams, or by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports. If it's the NFL, it's on Westwood One. So even at the peak of the Northern Alliance control, they never controlled most of the country. And in the areas that were controlled by the Taliban, there were no, when I was to say in 2000, 2001, there were no phones at all. Right. And I remember reading hilariously that Dick Cheney was claiming that after 9/11 that they were going to tap payphones in Afghanistan. Well, first you'd have to install them, and then you'd need electricity. This is a country that, like, most people didn't know when they were born. They didn't know their birth dates. I had to, when I had one of those cameras where you can see the sort of like a proto cell phone. We can see the digital image of the person before you take the photo. Afghans wanted to see that because they didn't own mirrors. They had never seen a picture of themselves.
That's true.
Everywhere I went with my satellite phone, people were asking to borrow it so they could call relatives in like the United States or in Europe, because so there was no technology, right? Like buildings were not, roads weren't paved, there was nothing. But after 2001, the one thing that the U.S. brought, not security, but that was technology, and stuff got built, and including a phone system. But they started with cell phones and landlines. Basically, they skipped over the landline phase completely. So, in one of the things that the Taliban did is as a method of control, they ordered, and they said it was un-Islamic to have cell phones and electricity on overnight. So in those areas, they would order that all the, at night, everything is off. Well, this seems to be a replay of that, except it's going on now, entering its third day. The Taliban have completely cut off the internet 100%. So everything, Afghanistan is now like a much more modern country. The Kabul airport is shut down. All the businesses are shut down. The banking system is shut down. All the hospitals, schools, emergency response, everything is dependent on the internet, just as it is for us. And now I guess there's a lot of speculation as to why they're doing that. The Ministry for the Protection of Virtue and Prevention of Vice, which is something they have in the Saudi Arabia and other like radical Islamist countries. They say, well, people are on the internet doing bad, dirty things, which is no doubt true. That's what the internet is for. But also there's a contretemps between Afghanistan and Pakistan, which there always is over something. Currently, the Pakistani government is demanding that the Afghans stop harboring exiled members of the Pakistani Taliban in Afghanistan. And the Afghans this may be part of just like, la, 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 we can't hear you. We don't know anything about it. And also there's this whole saber rattling with Trump saying, like, you've got to give us back Bagram Air Base. We need it back. And so the Taliban might be worried about a U.S. attack. What do you think is going on here, John?
Honestly, I think it's the Taliban going back to its roots. And my view of this is different this time. My view this time is I don't give a shit what they do in Afghanistan, because they had an opportunity to build something. They made a choice. They preferred the Taliban over a Western style democracy, which is perfectly cool. It's their country.
That's right.
Right? And I say this all the time, and I say it because I mean it. The Taliban did not come down from the moon one day and just take over Afghanistan. These are the fathers, the husbands, the sons, the brothers of Afghan women, right?
They're indigenous. They're not imported. They're indigenous.
The bottom line being, this is what Afghans chose.
Yeah.
Right? So congratulations. Let them have it. We self-flagellate in the West, like, oh, who's going to teach the girls now that girls can't go to school? Well, you know what? Girls went to school for 20 years, and people decided they didn't want it. And so I say, go with God. All the best.
Well, I agree with that. And I guess for the people who say that women and girls are being victimized here, I would say, look, you're forgetting the history of women's liberation here in the West. I mean, the suffragette movement was violent. It
was violent, yes.
There were bombings, there were shootings, there were assassinations. In the end, the rich white guys who ran the country were scared that their wives were going to kill them while they were sleeping if they didn't give them the vote. And remember, like the women's suffrage, it was required state by state that men, who were the only people who were allowed to vote for women to be able to vote, right? And that's how it happened. It's men who voted for women's suffrage, ultimately.
Yes.
We got to it a little bit late. But the point is that, I think you can't liberate other people. They have to liberate themselves. They have to, of course, obviously there's exceptions like World War II and stuff. But that's kind of an unusual scenario for a variety of reasons. But in the case of Afghanistan, the women and the men, the women there, they really have to rise up if they want to live differently. I'm not convinced that they do want to live differently. Not yet. Maybe they will at some point.
I agree.
But, yeah.
Maybe at some point. Hey, somebody said something about my shirt. Thank you very much. Thoughts and prayers have lines through it, and policy and change. My sister bought it for me and stuck it in my stocking at Christmas. I don't
Great
know where she
shape.
got it. She probably made it. But anyway, I'm with you, Ted. I'm with you. Listen, I was opposed, like you were opposed to the U.S. Occupation of Afghanistan. It was bad policy. It was a stupid decision. We should not have been at war with the Taliban, but they tried it our way, and they didn't like it.
No. And we
So
fucked up.
we fucked up. So it should be,
Now, and the thing
Afghans
is,
running Afghanistan.
we should look honestly, if we want to influence anything, it's just like with Iran. We should be engaged. We should be open. We should have full diplomatic relations, economic relations. Nothing would cause Afghanistan to westernize faster than Western tourists coming to visit, hanging out, talking to Afghans, being tourists. That I think that's the biggest thing. And generosity on our part. I mean, let's face it, we do owe them. We occupied their country for 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's kind of like, fuck you, you defeated us. It's like, fuck you, like, fuck us, like we fucked up. We shouldn't have been there in the first place. And they had nothing to do with 9/11. Just have to remind people of that.
Nope.
Should we talk about this ambassador?
Yeah.
So I'm going to butcher his name. His name was
impossible.
Yeah, it is. Nkosinathi Emmanuel Mithethwa, I believe. Probably wrong. Totally wrong. Anyway, he was the South African ambassador to France. He jumped out of his 22nd floor hotel room in Paris, and a security guard found his body in the hotel courtyard. The French are investigating. They find no signs of anyone breaking in. The door was locked from the inside. No sign of struggle. No indication that the dude used drugs. He apparently left a suicide note to his wife. So it could be something as straightforward as just the guy was depressed. Depressed people kill themselves. But John, in your experience at the agency, did you ever hear about or believe that there were ever like fake suicides, that they basically people could be targeted and then they'd make it look like they killed themselves and it wasn't really true? In other words, is this possibly something other than what it looks like?
This happens every once in a while in the diplomatic community, where people get depressed and commit suicide. It happens every couple of years. When I was at the agency, no, I never saw any fake suicides. That would be such a difficult cover to uphold. But I did see some real suicides. I remember once when I was in Athens, there was an officer who committed suicide, and the station chief was just torn up about it. I mean, we were all upset, but for days he just kept saying, "I can't believe he did it. I can't believe he did it." People, people struggle with mental health. They feel isolated and alone, even if they really aren't. The key is that they believe that they are, and this kind of thing happens.
So
sorry to say.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we'll see if anything's different there. Now it is being confirmed definitively, by the way, that was a gas explosion. I guess it must have just been really obvious. So we will, that story in the Bronx. So yeah, it's pretty crazy story.
It's awful.
And that is being confirmed as a New York, as a public housing project. And this could become an issue in the mayor's race, John,
oh my God,
because the state of New York public housing has always been a little bit ratty and not very well maintained. It's a low priority. I mean, these are working class people and poor people, who are at the bottom rung of the city's power elite. And nobody really cares about them in City Hall. Mamdani, I think, could obviously say, let's increase funding, and he has already campaigned on this. I suspect this will help him make his case that public housing needs more money. I think that'll be a big deal. There's the whole landlord class. They're arguing that with the reforms that went in under the previous mayor, 2 mayors ago, de Blasio, that they can't afford to maintain their buildings anymore, and that they're going to end up like with a 1970s Bronx is burning kind of scenario where they have to where they arson or otherwise just abandon their buildings, collect the insurance and get out, because they can't afford to pay their bank loans back because they bought their buildings at valuations that are no longer valid.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Incredible.
But,
hey, I wanted to ask you, and I'm blanking. There was something we were going to talk about, and I said, "Oh, I got to ask Ted." Oh, yeah. Posse comitatus, Ted.
right.
You cannot send U.S. troops into American cities for the purpose of having them carry out law enforcement activities. You can't do it. The Supreme Court has ruled on this. Congress has ruled on it. Now, some are saying, "Oh, well, posse comitatus was repealed during Obama." In part, the president, of course, still can send troops to, integrate the schools or in the event of a natural disaster or whatever. But you can't just declare war on American cities and send units of the U.S. military into those cities and start shooting the place up.
Well, I mean, also, I mean, is this a way of, I mean, one thing that Trump does, and I don't know if this is intentional or if it's just sort of, something he's wandered into, like a, blind pig finding a truffle. But he's already sending troops to U.S. cities. They're going to Memphis now. But like now he's saying, well, maybe we should use U.S. cities as training grounds for military troops. Train them on Americans before we send them overseas. We're going to fight us here so we don't have to fight them there. It's like, but maybe is he just saying that in order so the people in Memphis don't think, hey, this could be even worse. They could be using us as target practice.
Yeah, they could, which is just sick. I'm hoping that he misspoke, that it was off the cuff. He didn't mean as actual practice, because what actual practice is urban warfare, right? I mean, that's really what it is.
That's true. I'm writing that down because I think it'll make a good cartoon idea. I'm like, we have to fight. You remember that line about after the war of after 9/11, we have to fight them there so we don't have to fight them here. So it's like now we have to fight us here so we don't have to fight them there or something. I'll polish it. John, do you ever see at the National Archives when they have they had the original 1961 inauguration speech, and John F. Kennedy kept crossing out. It was sort of like, hey, you should really think about doing things for your government, not just thinking about shouting it. Like, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
And he kept crossing it out. And there's like 6 different versions. And then someone, I think it's Jackie, wrote like a comment that said like, this is it. Like, ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country.
Have you seen? They had a display recently at the National Archives. Folks, if you haven't been to the National Archives, go. It's free. Yeah. It's incredible.
Sounds boring, but it's not.
It's not. They've got the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They have all
Nixon's resignation letter.
Right. One of the things that they had that I saw was this wonderful. It was the guest list for a dinner that the Kennedys were having in honor of some foreign leader that was coming. I don't even remember who it was. But you see Jackie Kennedy's notations in the margins. And they had put Senator Abe Fortas and his wife at the Kennedys' table. And Jackie Kennedy wrote, "God, please no, not again. That woman never shuts her mouth." And then in the next version, there's a new seating chart, and the Fortises are on the other side of the room. Like little stuff like that too. It's not just the Declaration of Independence and these yellowed old papers. It's fun stuff, like in a day in the life in Washington.
Totally.
When you're the president and first lady.
Totally.
Fun stuff.
No, totally fun stuff. Not so fun is what William Pockets is asking about. Could we talk about Karen Silkwood and the USS Liberty? It's crazy to me how many Americans don't know the amount of war acts Israel is responsible for.
Yeah.
Yeah, so USS Liberty, maybe we should go first.
Yeah, I did a show. I did an episode of my old show, The Whistleblowers, on the USS Liberty. The USS Liberty was a U.S. Ship. It wasn't even a battleship. It was like a communication ship off the coast of Egypt. And to make a long story short, it was flying the American flag. It said United States Navy on the bow, and the Israeli Air Force attacked it and almost sank it. They killed, what was it, Ted? Like 17 people, 27 people?
It was, yeah.
Something like that. And then they waited 2 hours, and then they flew
During
back.
the 6-Day War, right?
Yeah, during the 6-Day War, and they bombed it again. Now, the interesting thing to me is that at the time, President Johnson, Secretary of State Dean Rusk, they were like, damn Israelis. They knew it was American. They bombed it anyway. They killed us on purpose. And we had access, of course, to the Israeli communications where the pilots were communicating with their headquarters saying, this is an American battleship. And it wasn't a battleship, but it was an American ship.
They called it a warship. I don't know.
Warship, that was it, American warship. And the orders from Israeli headquarters were bomb it anyway. And the idea was the Israelis bombed it thinking they could then blame the Egyptians for doing it.
Oh.
Uh-huh. But I mean, there were Stars of David on the undersides of the fighter jet's wings. And
that must have been, I mean, honestly, awful for the Israeli pilots.
Yeah.
To be told, go ahead and shoot and do it. I mean, that's like the same position that the Soviet pilots was in when he intercepted Korean Airlines Flight 007, and they told him to shoot it down because it was over Soviet airspace, near a military installation, right? It's in Sakhalin Island, and then he said, "I can see it's a passenger jet. I'm like right next to it, and I can see kids looking out the window." And they were like, shoot it down anyway. And so he kept warning over and over. He warning the Korean plane to land. It was a spy plane, basically, for the U.S. The CIA had mounted spy equipment cameras underneath. So they were supposed to accidentally on purpose go over this Soviet military installation and take pictures. Karen Silkwood, I think the links between her and Israel are more tenuous.
I've not heard of any.
So she was of course, the famous movie with Cher. That's the first time we learned that Cher was a great actor.
Yeah.
Karen Silkwood was a whistleblower at Curragh-McGee nuclear power plant and out in the Midwest, and basically. After sort of around the time when she had her mysterious fatal car accident, a bunch of plutonium went missing from a Curragh-McGee power plant, and it turns out that it probably ended up in Israel because all plutonium has a unique signature, like a fingerprint, and you can tell where it came from. So it's pretty well understood. The only question is, would the Israelis have done something to her? Might they have suspected that it was her? We don't really know who's responsible. I mean, it could have just been a car accident, but that's not. It's sort of like Paul Wellstone. She died at a very convenient time for very bad people. Paul Wellstone died at a very convenient time for very bad people.
That was a terrible loss. Yeah,
I have my friend dropped him off at the airport.
You're kidding?
Yeah, she was a campaign worker, Liz, and she was a campaign worker for Wellstone. This was in rural Minnesota. She talked to the pilot right before they took off. She said she never believed that he wasn't murdered. She thinks the plane was tampered with because she said this guy had been a bush pilot, had been flying these routes through fog, through Minnesota weather, through the dead of winter, through blizzards, thick and thin. This guy could fly anything, anytime, anywhere. There's no fucking way he would have crashed the plane because he got lost in the fog. That dude didn't get lost in the fog. And he was extremely experienced. I think he'd been doing it for 30 or 40 years. So, I mean, you and I both know guys like that.
Yeah.
And so she always thought, and when he died, it tipped the balance of the U.S. Senate back to the Republicans and to Bush and his very aggressive foreign policy. So it was a really meaningful thing. It wasn't just like one Democrat scratched off the list, and his whole family died too. So the whole legacy disappeared.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Hey, John, even though we're on the new time for the month of October, we are on the splash page. We are number 8 in America on Rumble right now, live.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
In a few minutes, we'll bring in Robbie to talk about something we're going to be doing. This is an experiment, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But before we do that, we should probably talk about the other big story, the judge. This is a Reagan appointee, and he quoted Reagan. William Young, U.S. District Court judge, ruled that Trump, when he went after academics, in other words, students and professors who were supporting the Palestinians and opposing Israel's genocide in Gaza earlier this year, violated the First Amendment. He wrote a scathing 161-page opinion where he went after the president himself, accused him of being a hollow braggart, and was censoring free speech brazenly. And he even implied that there should be armed resistance to the Trump administration in order to save American democracy. And he's pissed.
Wow. And he's a Reagan appointee.
Yeah. He's in, look, I mean, he's right. So he was talking about people like, Khalil. It's like there's all these cases are really reprehensible. I mean, people were scooped off the streets with green cards, by the way, scooped off the streets and threatened with deportation, brutalized, traumatized, and they're not accused of doing anything violent or illegal. They're just literally in one case, it's a grad student who wrote a letter to she co-authored an essay for the student paper at, I think, Tufts, if memory serves.
I think it is Tufts.
What? I mean, I'm glad that a judge is pissed.
Yeah, I am too. For my own selfish reasons, I hope people will forgive me for this in retrospect, but in their retrospect, I try hard not to criticize Donald Trump because I've asked for a pardon.
Sure.
But some of this stuff is so nuts and so unconstitutional that nobody can remain silent. Nobody. You can't just scoop it. This is not Soviet Russia or Nazi Germany, where if you don't like somebody's ideas, you just scoop them off the street and throw them out of the country.
No. I mean, well, they're trying to change that. So, all right. Please like, follow, and share the show. I've got a hard out at the top of the hour to go do TMI with Manila Chan. Let me bring in Robbie to explain some of the new stuff, and go ahead, Robbie.
Howdy, y'all. So we are trying something new. Rumble has given us a tool that will actually help us start to actually build a network on the platform. So everyone has shows. John has a show. Ted has a show. Kim Iverson has a show. What no one has, though, is an actual network. Rumble is giving us the ability to start changing that. So what's going to happen at the top of the hour, if you're on Rumble, what's going to happen is that you'll automatically move over to the TMI show with RT's former anchor, Manila Chan. There's nothing that you have to do on your end. You'll move from here directly over to there. It's 2 advantages. 1, Rumble pays a hell of a lot better than YouTube does. 2, Rumble doesn't censor the way that YouTube does. 3rd, if y'all want to see more of the personalities that you know and love, come over from YouTube, follow us here on Rumble, and help us. If we're able to show numbers, then at that point I'll be able to start talking to other people that you know and love, bring them over as well to help grow this network. Building a show is easy. Building a network is harder. And I need your help to make that happen. You can do this. And the best part is it doesn't cost you a dime. All you have to do is watch us on Rumble.
Okay,
Hey,
Robbie.
thank
Go
you,
ahead.
Robbie. Hey, may I throw in just a little thing? Now that we're near the end of the show, Frasmataz says, "I miss Tariq from New Orleans. I miss Tariq from New Orleans too."
Who's Tariq
Tariq
from
is
New
a guy.
Orleans?
Do you remember Tariq from New Orleans?
No.
Oh, Tariq used to call into every single show on Sputnik. He would sit at home and literally all day from morning until night would listen to Sputnik, and he would call in on every show. And he was a nice guy. He was not the brightest bulb in the box, but he always had something to ask, something to say, and he would always preface his comments with free Assange, free Snowden, and free Donziger. And then he would give his point. I am sorry to tell you, Frasmataz, that Tarif is in prison for the rest of his life.
Oh, shit.
He had a mental break, and he stabbed his stepfather to death and was convicted of second-degree murder. Yeah, and
Wow.
and he's in the state prison in Louisiana. The poor guy.
Yeah, John, we were never Manila and I were never allowed, and then my other co-hosts, Angie Wong and Steve Gill, we were never allowed to take calls, and I was always sad about that. Our boss never allowed it. I don't know why. He never explained it. He's just like, no calls. I'm like,
whatever.
Yeah.
Oh
Okay,
my God.
whatever. Question for you from Houdini, John. Are you available on Minect while you're in Mexico?
I am actually. I answered. See, this place in Mexico is so friggin' isolated. There's only an internet signal in the pool house. I'm in the pool house right now, or in the library, but the library's full of camera equipment, and I don't want to go in there because people are working in there today. So I had to come into the pool house last night, just download my messages, and I did get 2 Minects last night, so I answered the both of them. So yep, I'm on the Minect app, Minnect, and thanks for asking.
All right, guys, we will be back at 9 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, Thursday, October 2nd. We're here throughout the month of October, basically, at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. We'll be back to the normal time later, but for now, just think of us as a morning show. Obviously, you can stream us anytime, and thanks for watching us anytime. Please like, follow, and share the show. Thank you for your donations and comments. Always love you guys. And please, if you're so inclined, stick around, as Robbie explained, and you can watch me and Manila Chan do the TMI show. John, have a great day. Hope everything goes great out there in the sun. Bye.
Thank you.